The time has once again arrived where we take a look at the landscape of the overall league and analyze how players stack up against one another. For the last few years, I've been putting out rankings of players twice per year, once about midway through the season, and again in the off-season after the year wraps up. We're now at the point where every team has played about 50 games this season, which is actually a little over the halfway point through the year, so we have a ton of new data to take into account for a fresh batch of positional rankings lists. Today we'll be starting with the point guards, ranking the 10 best players at the position, along with a few honorable mentions that just missed the cut, and allow me to say right off the bat that the point guard position is easily the most talented in the NBA, top to bottom right now. Before we start though, I want to thank PristineAuction.com for sponsoring today's video. They are the most trusted sports memorabilia and collectibles auction site. Auctions on PristineAuction.com start at just $1, and each day there are thousands of autographed items available, so you win signed authentic signatures at affordable prices. Affordable deals are happening all the time at PristineAuction.com, and they have just about every player you could want, so if you want old school or new school, they've got you covered. Every item on PristineAuction.com comes with a certificate of authenticity from the industry's most reputable authenticators. They have even supplied me with a giveaway of this beautiful signed Giannis Antetokounmpo jersey for all of you to try to enter and win. For your chance to win it, all you have to do is sign up on the website using my registration code HOOPS and you'll be entered. Links are in the description below. Once again, thank you to PristineAuction.com for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. Before we get into the top 10, we'll start with a few honorable mentions that just missed the cut, and the players that fall into this category are Darius Garland, LaMelo Ball, and Jalen Brunson. It's crazy having 3 all-star caliber players in the honorable mention category of a position, but that just speaks to how unbelievable the point guard talent pool is right now. LaMelo was an all-star last year, but he does need to improve his efficiency and elevate his lowly Hornets squad before breaking into the top 10. Brunson's emergence on the Knicks has been incredibly impactful on a team that now looks comfortably in the playoff picture, and Garland is probably the closest to making the cut out of these 3 because he's an efficient, productive playmaker for a top 5 seed, but ultimately the guys ahead of him have just been ever so slightly more impressive. Now to start things off at number 10, we have Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Trae is a player who has the talent and ability to rank much higher on this list, and in the past, he has ranked much higher, but this year has been as underwhelming as it gets for him. Of course, on paper, his production of 27 points and 10 assists per game looks amazing, but he's shooting the ball below league average from both the field and from 3. He is the worst defensive player on this entire list. His Hawks team has been incredibly underwhelming this year, due in large part to Trae not adjusting his game to the new makeup, and there have been reports of people saying within the Hawks locker room that they're not the biggest fans of playing alongside him. Because of all of these things, I personally prefer a plethora of other guys at the position over him, and I believe most GMs would probably agree. Next up at number 9, we have De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are one of the best stories in the NBA this year, as they're not only on track to end their playoff drought that has lasted since 2006, but they're also doing so in a pretty dominant fashion, currently sitting in 3rd place in the Western Conference. Fox has been an incredibly productive player for years, but never quite had the roster around him to make any serious noise, and now that he does, people are starting to recognize just how dangerous his blistering speed can truly be. Of course, he dominates in transition, but he's also taken a big leap when the game slows down as well by working alongside Domantas Sabonis to form one of the best 2-man games in the league. Fox is averaging about 24 points and 6 assists per game, shooting the ball 51% from the field, playing good, efficient, winning basketball. Next at number 8, we have Tyrese Haliburton of the Indiana Pacers. We started to see Haliburton break out last season when he first arrived in Indiana, and now this year in his first full season on the team, he's proven to be one of the best there is at the position. The Pacers were written off by pretty much everybody before the year as a team, and they were assumed to have been rebuilding and would be at the bottom of the standings, but Haliburton did not let that happen, as they were comfortably in the playoff race when Haliburton was healthy, but unfortunately he suffered suffered an injury and has missed the last 10 games, and without him, the Pacers fell off a cliff, losing 9 of those 10 games, which only further demonstrates his value. Haliburton is a model of efficiency as a scorer, putting up 20 points per game, shooting the ball 48% from the field and 40% from 3, and he's also second in the entire NBA in assists, dishing out about 10 of them per game too. Up next at number 7, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA is someone I firmly expect to continue to fly up this list over the next year or so, but I don't want to jump the gun too quick with him. He's scoring about 31 points per game while dishing out 6 assists. He's doing so incredibly efficiently, making 51% of his shots, and he is the engine that makes the Thunder go. The Thunder have been far better than anybody expected them to be so far this year, and it's largely due to SGA's ability to carry such a heavy load on a nightly basis. Next up at number 6, we have Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. Dame has returned to form this season after a bit of a down year last year riddled with injuries, but it hasn't been enough to keep the Blazers afloat in playoff contention to this point. He's putting up about 30 points and 7 assists per game, but the Blazers are all the way down in 12th place in the Western Conference standings, despite getting big seasons from Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant alongside him. Defensively, the team has a lot of holes, Lillard included, and offensively, the team has not been able to make up for those deficiencies. Up next at number 5, we have Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. Irving has finally strung together a consistent stretch of play after a few up and down years, and as a result, he's back performing at a truly elite level that got rewarded with a nomination to start in the All-Star game this year, putting up 27 points and 5 assists while shooting 49% from the field and 38% from 3. He's someone with every trick in the book at his disposal that he uses in a way where he still converts at an impressively efficient rate. The best of all is he's contributing to a Nets team that is firmly in contention, which is meaningful after some bumpy years in Brooklyn prior to this. Next up at number 4, we have James Harden of the Philadelphia 76ers. Harden's season left people concerned about his future last year, but he has been bouncing back incredibly well this year, and his playmaking is vital to a red-hot Sixers team shooting up the standings, currently sitting in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference. He's leading the entire NBA in assists while scoring 21 points per game. He's shooting the ball better than he has the previous years, making 45% of his shots and 39% of his threes, and the two-man game that he has formed with Joel Embiid might be the most unstoppable in the league. Up next at number 3, we have Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. Morant has gotten better and better every year in the league, and this year his growth has come as a passer. He's still a human highlight reel trying to put anyone and everyone on a poster, and his athleticism can definitely overwhelm you, but this year he's averaging a career-high 8 assists on top of that, playing smarter and getting his teammates more involved. This development is a big reason why they're in 2nd place in the Western Conference and look as good as anybody this year. Up next at number 2, we have Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. The top 2 at the point guard position both have strong arguments for taking the top spot, and Curry is definitely the more accomplished player, but in terms of who is the better player right now, Curry comes up just short. That's not to say that he hasn't been sensational, because he's putting up about 29 points and 6 assists per game on his typically historic efficiency, and he is the best shooter of all time for a reason, but the Warriors have been as underwhelming as it gets so far this season, and the guy at number 1 has been doing a lot more with a lot less. Which now brings us to the number 1 spot, where we have Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. Luka could very well be the best player in the whole league right now, and is doing everything in his power to try to keep the Mavericks afloat, despite not really having the talent around him that other teams have. He's 2nd in the scoring title race, averaging about 33 points per game, he's dishing out about 8 assists, he's grabbing 9 rebounds per game, doing a little bit of everything to carry the Mavericks to the playoffs. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would rank the point guards at the current moment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.